Hi everyone, I've got Tom Clarke with me for today's Tuesday takeaway from Tanglin in Singapore. And I came across Tom first of all when I saw some brilliant videos he posted online about the physical literacy and the athletic development work they were doing at Tanglin. It looks great fun and really brilliant for children. So thanks for joining us, Tom. Maybe you could just tell us a little bit about your program and I suppose the purpose of it, really.
Thanks for having me on. So I think our kind of athletic development program, the main kind of three things I always kind of lean to is, improving students' kind of confidence, improving their competency in terms of kind of movement and exercises, and then from that improving their kind of capacity and their fitness and things from there. And one of the big things I think we kind of talked about before is doing that in a way that's age appropriate, and that's also fun. Because if we're starting kids, in the gym like we do, we have kind of year fives almost start in the gym. It has to be, engaging and fun for them, and we want them to leave with, a positive experience of being in a gym environment. And I think if they have that for 7, 8 years at school, they're really going to set themselves up for, keeping healthy and fit once they leave school.
And what does fun look like, Tom? How do you make sure it's fun?
I think there's a couple of things. So, what I've kind of found from my experience is fun is challenging.
Yeah.
So they having some sort of kind of challenge or competitiveness. Whenever we do the kind of like testing type sessions or we do different challenges or team competitions, gamifying it, the engagement goes up and the enjoyment goes up, and we can see kind of smiles on their faces. And I think also the way we approach the teaching of it as well is I always say that I'm really keen to stress it's not the gym environment is not like an army boot camp where you're going to get screamed and shouted at. It should be just like a regular teaching environment where there's empathy, there's meeting students where they're at, so they can feel kind of safe in the gym. And I think if they feel those things, if they feel safe, if they feel confident, and they're engaged in some sort of task or challenge, then I think they have fun from that.
And we're also talking about, your sessions sort of have a cognitive element as well. There's some decision making to be done. And I think, a lot of athletic development, it can be sort of going through the motions and there's not a lot of thinking in it. So how have you involved sort of a cognitive element in your sessions?
Yeah, so the way we kind of approach it, I'll just share a slightly different screen so you can kind of see. But we do follow this kind of athletic motor skill competency model, which is quite out there in the research. It's well used, and this kind of dictates the different elements that we want to work on. And the way we do that is we try and pick maybe um, 3 or 4 elements to work on per session, and we make kind of 2 of them where it's a bit more traditional based, where they're learning a squat type movement, and then we try and make the other 2 a bit more of a game type approach. So we're not just kind of loading them on one particular way. They've got different challenges to kind of figure out themselves as they're going through the lesson. And we use a lot of constraints. So rather than, I think sometimes, you can demonstrate, you can tell them how to do things, but if you give them a different constraint, they start to think a little bit more about how can they actually overcome this challenge, how can they figure it out from themselves. And I think the research is I'm not an expert in that, but the research is kind of clear on that when they can kind of figure things out themselves and
Yeah.
use engage their brain within the task, it really helps it stick and them improve over the long term.
So if I'm a director of sport and at the minute I don't have any athletic development program or physical literacy for my whole school, it's not part of my physical education curriculum. How would you suggest that I
Yeah.
introduce this to my department?
Um, yeah, it's a good question. I think it always is context dependent. You need to kind of have a look at what space you have, what equipment, what resources, and I am very lucky that I do have a good gym space. I do have access to equipment, and I've got a good PE department that we're open to learning about a new kind of approach and a new module within the PE curriculum. So I think no matter what you have, you can always start somewhere. So one of the first kind of things that I did was look at, do we have sort of a first, do we have it within the PE curriculum? Do we have time to do it? Is there a slot to do it? And basically, once I met with the head of PE here, they were kind of doing some gym units, but not really that well organized, I think they'd say. So he was able to kind of give change the PE curriculum to allow for some time to do athletic development. And then within that, again, it comes down to what staff you have, and if you're at a school where you don't necessarily have an athletic development specialist, there is lots of resources which you can kind of look at and help with. I'm happy to kind of maybe share those after with you that you could share. And I think just starting very basic. Do you have a little bit of space? Can you put it in the time? And then can you start to look at these different kind of motor skills that you've got there? And then could you do a little bit of research and find a few games, find a few exercises that you could potentially do, and then just start to implement them from there. I think with everything, it's always about, I always think start simple,
Yeah.
and then slowly start to build on it from there. And what I found is that the kids really enjoy it, and sometimes you do things where you think, okay, that drill didn't quite work, or same with any type of teaching, right? That didn't quite work, but then you find a lot of things that do work. So yeah, I think start simple, figure out what you've got, and then just slowly build on it from there.
Yeah, that's good advice. I mean, start simple. You're going to get success, aren't you? And if you get success, you build confidence, the kids enjoy it, and you do
Yeah,
more. What about if you were explaining to me
yeah. And
why?
there's loads of things. Sorry to interrupt. There's loads of things you could do with body weight with very limited equipment. There's not, you don't need all the fancy equipment.
Yeah,
I think in the video that you guys shared, we're using tennis balls.
yeah,
We were using a kid's shoe for one of the activities.
yeah.
We had some little sliders that we got off Amazon for $10. So yeah, you don't need fancy equipment.
Agreed. Sorry. So I was going to say, why? What's your why? Why should this be part of my program?
Yeah, I think the biggest reason is I almost think of this as like one of the most important things that a person needs to kind of learn about and needs to understand. Um, and we do a lot of testing here, and I think the reason I do the testing is A, they enjoy it, but B, they're getting informed on their own kind of level of health and fitness. And I think rather than waiting till older years or even after school, if you can get that to be a bit of a habit, if you can build that in from the younger ages when it's age appropriate, just like they're getting maths throughout the entire school journey, English, science. I think health and, you know, not to get kind of too cheesy, but, you only get one body and things like
Yeah.
that. It's an important thing to focus on. So I think if they can have exposure to it in every single kind of age group they go through at school, that's only going to help them from when they leave school and start to continue to lead a kind of active life. And I think the other side is, we do see the research and evidence of kids being less active.
Yeah.
They don't play as much as they used to. They don't climb trees. They don't swing off branches. They don't do hopscotch on the playground. All these kind of fundamental movements that enhance sports performance, but also enhance just general health, have declined. Obesity, things like that have increased. So I think it's more important than ever to have an athletic development kind of unit and kind of structure throughout the life of their time at school.
Yeah, I think that's, I think if we all said to our parents or our staff body that all of our children would leave school fit and healthy and with a knowledge of how to stay fit and healthy and nothing else, then we've won. If they never play a game of netball or hockey or rugby or
Yeah,
cricket again in their lives, we can argue about that, but I don't think anyone's going to argue about the fitness and the health element. It's so important. So, if people do want to find out a bit more about what you're doing, Tom, or if you want to give some director of sport advice about where to look, where can they find out about your stuff and where would you advise they look?
yeah. I'm happy to chat to anyone on LinkedIn, or I'm not sure if you can share my email with this, but yeah, if anyone wants to reach out, I can kind of show you the things that we've put in place, and share some kind of people in the industry that we've leaned on and looked at to kind of help us put our program together. And I did have, yeah, a couple of people reached out asking if we have kind of scheme of works and things like that. Um, I'm in the process of kind of putting all that together, but I don't have anything to share at the moment, unfortunately. But I'm always happy if people want to reach out. Outside of that, I think looking at, I think in the UK, you've got the UK SCA. They're starting to do a lot more work now with schools. And if you look at Leeds Beckett University,
Yeah,
so there's Dr. Fionn Thompson
yeah, we
up
do.
there,
Yeah,
and her team are doing a lot with schools.
yeah,
We've done some work with them, and we're involved with the research project at the moment with them. Definitely have a look at them. They've got some really good stuff, and I think they do an annual conference now that's
yeah,
in year 2, which
yeah.
is specifically designed for schools. So yeah, it's getting more and more information is getting out there. Definitely.
That's brilliant, Tom. Very kind of you, and I agree. Fiona and her team. We push a lot of stuff out there to our members. So listen, really appreciate your time this morning. I hope people do reach out to you. I think what you're doing at Tanglin there's looks brilliant and fun. I'm sure, you know, our children at schools were having as much fun and learning as they were in those videos I've seen. That'd be fantastic. So thank you very much, Tom, and enjoy the rest of your day.